NUEL Folktales.
Welcome to Purity Girls School, a boarding school where no one is allowed to leave, at least not alive. Many years ago, in the city of Yenegua, Bayelsa State, there lived a couple named Priye and his beautiful wife Tamara, the jewel of the masses. They were wealthy people who lived in a palace surrounded by tall fence like a roko tree and guarded by very big dogs the size of a tiger. They had heavy security with scary faces and tough bodies like that of bouncers. The couple had two beautiful daughters, Sophia and Sonia, who were spoilt, rebellious children. Priya and Tamara were the perfect power couple people admired, and young women even looked up to them as role models. They owned several estates, schools, orphanages, you name it. They were known for their kind hearts and humanitarian service they rendered in the city. The couple owned several NGOs and women empowerment organizations that had trained thousands of youth and women in schools and vocational training centers. They were like celebrities in Bayelsa State, and people loved them. Whenever they went out, cameramen and TV stations would follow them up and down, trying to capture each moment with them. They were like the local Beyonce and Jay-Z. They went almost everywhere together, holding each other's hands sweetly for the camera. And every Sunday, the couple and their two children would go to church and worship and praise passionately and devotedly, lifting their holy hands in worship. But everything was for show, for the camera, for public opinion. Their lives within the tall fence they built around themselves was far from perfect. They were like business partners living together in the same house. In fact, those high walls held deep secrets that could make even demons tremble and pay homage to Priye and his wife Tamara. The couple had a special boarding school where young girls within the ages of 14 and 19 were kept, like chickens kept in a cage to lay eggs. To the outside world, it was a normal all-girls boarding school where less privileged girls were given the opportunity to go to a good school and become better in the future. But inside, something dark and sinister happened every day. The boarding school was not for teaching the girls how to read or write. No, the girls were never taught. Rather, they were taught how to make babies. The girls were lured by Tamara's sweet mouth and gentle smiles under false pretense of going to a good private school, and immediately the girls entered the school. Bam! They were never allowed to leave. No breaks, no holidays. It was like prison without the physical prison bars. The first girl Tamara ever took to the boarding school was a beautiful 16-year-old girl named Udwak. She was a very hardworking girl from Ogoja in Cross River. She was working as a sales girl for a woman who sold pepper rice close to Tamara's Women Empowerment Center. Udwak was an orphan who had three younger siblings back at home. Tamara observed Udwak for months and gave her free food and pocket money every day. And she was so kind to the poor girl, and Udwak trusted Tamara. After all, she was the big popular woman on TV who helped the poor. Udwak felt privileged that Tamara even took notice of her. Then one day, Tamara approached Udwak and told her about the special boarding school where she could go to school and get a good job after graduating to help her siblings. Udwak, unsuspecting of Tamara's evil intention, was very happy to hear the news. Her madam never sent her to school. She had to work at the restaurant from dawn to dusk with peanut salary and harsh treatment. Udwak saw what Tamara told her as a golden opportunity to get a better life for herself. After all, thousands of women had benefited from Tamara's NGO. Without much thought, she agreed to follow Tamara to the special boarding school without even informing her madam. Tamara first took her to a special house with big TV, the kind Udwak had never seen before. The house had everything, big bed, and so many housemaids than even a five-star hotel. Tamara gave Uduak new clothes and shoes. She ate the best of meals in that house, and she was even given pocket money to send to her younger siblings at home. Uduak felt like her life was finally starting to make sense after all the years of suffering. Everything was going well until one day, Madam Tamara informed her that it was time to resume school. She told Uduak to pack her clothes, that she was going to enroll her in a special boarding school. That was how Uduak found herself in the strange school. As soon as she stepped into the school compound, she saw another side of Tamara, the side that was hidden behind a mask from the public. But it was too late. She couldn't leave. She couldn't escape. The entire place was guarded by heavy security. Uduak was confined to the walls of that boarding school. Her hope gone, her dreams crushed, her innocence taken away. And she has had 2 children since Tamara lured her there. But each time, her babies were always taken away before she even saw their faces. And she was stuck there in that prison with no hope of escape, praying every day for a miracle. The next girl Tamara lured into the school with empty promises was a girl named Chioma, a 17-year-old girl who Tamara picked up from an orphanage. She told the orphanage proprietor that she was sending Chioma to her private boarding school, where she would learn alongside children from rich families and get a better life after graduating. And the proprietor, who trusted Tamara, gave Chioma away. No too much questions asked, no too much drama. After all, everybody knew Tamara was a godly woman, and she was the sole benefactor of the orphanage. That was how Chioma found herself in the school too. The next girl was Zainab, a Fulani girl from Kano State, and Princess, and Funke, and all the other girls who were deceived by Tamara and Priye. In a few years, the school had a total of over 200 girls in attendance. Parents who were struggling to send their daughters to school were even praying for their daughters to be picked to attend that prestigious school. If only they knew. Tamara never picked girls with parents. She picked orphans and young girls far from home. As the years passed, the school started gaining more fame. More girls were lured there. Some were even kidnapped and brought there. And the baby supplies kept increasing more than ever. So was Tamara and Priye's wealth and fame. They got more powerful, more popular. They opened more NGOs and training centers to the public, while their cupboard kept piling up with so many cobwebs. But what do they say? Many days for the thief, one day for the owner. One night, Sophia and Sonia snuck out of their parents' mansion to attend a house party that their boyfriends invited them to. Priye and Tamara were fast asleep, oblivious to the fact that their precious daughters were out partying. When they got outside their gate, their boyfriend picked them up with a car and they all went to the party together. That night, they danced and drank until their head began to spin. They had the time of their lives, but something happened that night. Their boyfriend added strange pills to their drink that made them lose their senses and eventually lose their consciousness. The boys carried the girls to the car waiting outside, and they sped off into the night to an unknown destination. Apparently, the boys worked for Tamara, and their job was to deceive young girls and lure them to the boarding school, unbeknownst to them that Sophia and Sonia were Tamara's daughters. By the time the girls woke up, they found themselves inside a strange all-girls boarding school, Purity Boarding School, the school created by their evil parents, and the girls were stuck there like the other girls and were forced to endure the hardships the other girls endured in the school. Meanwhile, back at Tamara's mansion, the next morning came. Tamara went to the girls' room to wake them up for school, but by the time she got to their rooms, she was met with emptiness. The girls were long gone. That day, they searched everywhere, turned the whole house upside down, but couldn't find their daughters. After hours of searching, Priye used his connection to get the police and private investigators to start the ultimate search, but they found nothing. Priye and his wife were thrown into chaos. They thought that maybe their girls were kidnapped. But one day passed, 3 days passed, and 1 week passed, and they didn't hear anything from the girls, nor their adopters. The couple hired police, army, navy, even fire brigade. But nothing worked. Their daughters were cooling off inside the hell they created for other people's children. After about 2 weeks, Tamara's blood pressure shot through the roof in panic. They invited their pastor to come and fast and pray for their daughter's safe return. Their pastor prayed and fasted, and the poor man almost fainted on top of their matter. But nothing happened. Then the couple decided to go to other sources to get solutions. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. They visited different witch doctors. They bathed in the river at night. They climbed mountain and did different sacrifice, but nothing happened. The evil that a man does lives with him. Before you know it, 1 month passed, 3 months passed, 6 months passed, and the couple were beyond frustrated and terrified. They had started to give up, thinking that maybe their daughters were gone for real. One day, Tamara received a distress call from the special boarding school. It was the head midwife in charge of the girls. "Hello, madam. Please, I don't know what to do anymore. One of the new girls that was brought in is seriously sick. We have tried all we could, but her situation is getting worse by the day," the old woman said. Tamara, who was still mourning the strange disappearances of her daughter, flared up in anger. "What do you mean? Is that what I pay you millions for? Are you expecting me to come and treat her by myself? Please, I don't have time for this rubbish. If you can't treat her, leave her, let her die." Tamara backed over the phone, unbeknownst to her that the sick girl at the boarding school was in fact her own daughter, Sonia. Sonia had asthma and had been on strict medication and diet for years. And now that she was stuck in the school without her right medications and diet, her asthma had flared up, making it difficult for her to breathe or even move. Every day, her life was slipping away, and the midwives couldn't do anything about it, as they didn't have the right medications. The head midwife, who couldn't bear the thought of losing another girl in the boarding school, kept calling Tamara for help, for her to bring a doctor to treat the girl, but she refused. She was too busy. She tried calling Priye too to do something, but he yelled at the woman not to disturb him. Eventually, after 1 week of battling with her illness, Sonia died right on Sophia's arms one evening. The other girls just stood by and watched with sadness on their faces. They had seen enough casualties in the school that they were no longer surprised. It was a weekly occurrence in the school now. The school security and midwives took Sonia's body to the back of the school and buried her in the mass grave they buried other unfortunate girls who died in the school. And everybody just carried on with their jobs as if it was a chicken that died. Everybody except Sophia. She cried bitterly day and night. Her twin sister was gone, and she felt responsible for what had happened. She was the person who dragged Sonia out of bed that night to accompany her to the party, and now Sonia was no more. Meanwhile, Priya and Tamara were still meeting up with private investigators, trying to figure out what exactly happened to their daughters. They had turned the entire city upside down in a bid to look for their children, but it was like they just vanished into thin air. Tamara visited her daughter's school, friends and everybody who had close contact with the girls, but they were always met with heart-wrenching disappointment. One day, exactly 1 month after Sonia's death, Tamara drove down to the school with her black SUV, escorted by a heavy security. It was that time of the month she came to the school to supervise the activities in the school, check on the girls, and take the newborns away for her business. The day started like any other day for the past couple of years. The girls were all arranged in a large classroom for the inspection. That day, Tamara walked into the classroom with authority and scanned through the room using her eyes to do head counts for the girls. But suddenly, a voice called out from the crowd of girls, "Mommy! Mommy!" Tamara turned sharply to locate the source of that voice that sounded like her daughter's voice, and then her eyes landed on Sophia, her daughter that she had turned the entire city of Yanagua upside down for. Tamara staggered back in shock and almost collapsed. But how? How did she end up in this mess? Different thoughts ran through her head per second, and she was shaking to her core. Guilt consumed her. Her own daughter had fallen into the trap she set for other people's children. Tamara couldn't continue with the inspection. She ran out of the classroom in tears and couldn't even bring herself to look Sophia in the eyes for what she had done. That day, the security escorted Sophia into their car and they all left the boarding school. Tamara cried all through the drive home, her greed and wickedness to open that school, and it had ultimately ruined her own life and her children's life. When they arrived at their mansion, Tamara informed her husband about everything that had happened in the school, and he was shocked to his bones. "Sophia, how did you end up there? Where is your sister?" Priye asked with tears streaming down his face. "Daddy, Mommy, we went for a house party months ago, and the next morning we found ourselves in that school with the other girls. Sonia got sick while we were there and they couldn't treat her, and she suffered from her asthma for days before she passed." Goosebumps broke out on Priye and Tamara's skin at their daughter's word. It was then it dawned on them that Sonia was the girl the midwife was talking about a few weeks ago. The couple collapsed on the floor, crying bitterly as they regretted their lives. "Mommy, what were you doing in that school? Why are those girls there? Why are they keeping girls in that school? Let's report to the police, Mommy," Sophia said. But Priya and Tamara couldn't say anything. They just stared at their daughters with fear, still shaken by the revelation of the day. The family cried bitterly, but Priya and Tamara cried even more because of guilt. They never thought in their wildest dream that this calamity will befall them. Their greed had led them to destroy their own children. That night, Sophia couldn't sleep. She laid in bed thinking about the other girls still stuck in the school. She thought about her parents and how they avoided her questions earlier. She couldn't help but feel that they were deeply involved in the activities in that school. That night, Sophia made up her mind not to keep quiet now that she had been rescued. She vowed to rescue the other girls too. The next morning, Sophia left the house and took a taxi straight to the police headquarters to report all she went through at that evil school. At first, they didn't believe her, but when she showed them that she was Priya and Tamara's daughter, they gave her a seat and listened to all she had to say. That day, Sophia recounted all she saw, all she heard and experienced in the school. When the DPO asked her if she would be able to locate the school, Sophia said yes. She had memorized every route they took the day her mother brought her back home. That day, the police DPO called his superior and informed them of a possible trafficking case going on right under their nose in the city, and the superiors gave him full authority to mobilize men and raid the suspected location. Sophia followed the policemen and they all went to Purity Girls' School. And when they raided the school, they were shocked to find out that it wasn't a boarding school at all. It was a farm for making babies. That day, they arrested the security guards, the midwives, and loaded the girls into coastal buses straight to the hospital. In a few hours, the news outlets and social media had picked the news of the cruel things that happened inside the school, and people were shocked to their bones. The policemen closed down the school that same day and took the school staff to the headquarters for questioning. When they got to the police station, they all confessed to their crimes. They told the police that they were paid handsomely to run the school secretly. They confessed that it was Priye and Tamara who hired them for the job, and they had been working there for years. The news of the evil boarding school spread like wildfire throughout the city, and when Priye and his wife saw that their cover has been blown, they tried to flee the country. But the police, in conjunction with the immigration, apprehended them at the airport and dragged them to the police station to face the full wrath of the law for their crimes. The interrogation was tough. Priye and Tamara denied their involvement at first, but after weeks of digging, they connected all the dots and found out that Priye and his wife were at the center of the dark web. Eventually, Tamara broke down under the intense investigation and confessed all their crimes. She told the police officers that she lured young girls into the school under false pretense, and the midwives inseminated them for them to get pregnant. And after the girls put to bed, the babies were taken away and they sold them for millions of naira to hospitals and fertility clinics, to couples who couldn't have their own children. Tamara confessed that they also used their NGOs and training centers as cover to do money laundering for their rich clients. Her confession was broadcast live and the entire country saw it, and people were terrified. Priye, who previously denied all allegations, was cornered by Tamara's confession, and he eventually gave in. The couple and the evil staff were all sentenced to life imprisonment with hard labor. The girls were put into group therapy to help them recover and adjust to life outside bondage. The government gave all the victims full scholarship. Other NGOs around the country helped the victims with accommodation and feeding, and helped them become useful to themselves and the society. The government shut down the clinic where the children were sold and confiscated Priye and Tamara's assets and liquidated most for public funds. A special task force was set up to uproot and eradicate the menace like Priye and Tamara from the society for good. Thank you for watching. Hi lovelies, what do you think of this story? This is not a fictional story. It is a real life event that has happened somewhere, and it still happens even till today. Protect your children and be careful who you trust your children with, as the heart of man is desperately wicked. To all our young girls, we should always listen to our parents and guardians, as it is not safe out there. The world is very wicked. The moral of this story is that we shouldn't throw stone in the marketplace, because you might never know who it may hit. What do you think of the story? What morals have you learned from this story? Let me know in the comment section below. Give this video a thumbs up if you haven't done so by now. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so by now. Share this video with your friends and family to learn a lesson or two. And until I bring another juicy and interesting story your way again, bye for now.